really an honor that you would invite me to address you tonight, to really take a big chunk of your meeting time to listen really, to what we're doing across the country to advance the principles of economic freedom, what this nation was founded on, the notion, the primacy of personal autonomy over central planners and statist policies that have wrecked entire societies across the world. But we went a different route in America. We chose the path of freedom, and that made all the difference, not only for our communities, but for our entire nation. It made us the most prosperous, most advanced nation in the world. Thank you. So, the Hispanic community is very interested in these principles, in these issues. To have a thriving America, we need a thriving Hispanic community. And vice versa. To have a thriving Hispanic community, we need a thriving America. And so we're interdependent in really, I think, the principles, the policies that generate prosperity. We're equally, I think, interested in driving those things, but also interested in knowing what are the policies that actually generate poverty, and to steer away from those kind of policies. And so I'll talk a little bit about that, a little bit about how we're doing it, the kind of response that we're getting from the Hispanic community. Talk about some other issues that we're involved in, like Obamacare, and then finally get to the issue of immigration reform that I also want to discuss with you tonight. My parents, Adán y Modesta Garza, were immigrants from Mexico who saw America as the promised land. They saw it very much like John Steinbeck wrote about in The Grapes of Wrath. It was actually Woody Guthrie who wrote a song about Tom Joad in honor of Grapes of Wrath. In one of the stanzas of the song about Tom Joad, he said, "And they came to the mountaintop, and it looked like the promised land. A rich green valley with a river running through it. There was work for every single hand," they thought. There was work for every single hand. And that's how my parents saw it, as an opportunity to prosper, as an opportunity to improve their lives and the lives of their children, and their own personal social condition. And I think waves and waves of immigrants, poor immigrants, came to America with exactly that notion. And we have fulfilled more dreams, more aspirations than any nation in history, because of our economic system. Because it was a system that said, you know what, we don't know what does it for you. We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness is you go figure it out. Not the government, not the politician to tell you what to do, what you should have, or what government, or I should say, what job or career, or what you should aspire to. But you figure out where your competitive advantage is in the marketplace. Work hard, save, risk, build wealth, create opportunities for others once you do that. And that's what my parents did. They came as farm workers, and they worked hard, really hard, in the fields of California, in the fields of Nebraska, in the fields of Washington State, where we finally settled. For 20 years they worked the fields. My dad took his life savings, risked it in a small business, and he did good. Enough so we could go off to college and I could, follow a career, which I thought was law enforcement, but then as fate would have it, steered me towards public policy, and I wound up working at the White House for the most powerful person in the world, the President of the United States, as the Associate Director of the Office of Public Liaison. So think about that. This is a nation where a farm worker with a 4th grade education, with nothing, achieves prosperity, and his son works at the White House. That's a reflection of America. That's a reflection, absolutely. As Senator Ted Cruz of Texas said, this still must remain a country with anyone with nothing can achieve anything. But see, the thing is, we have to make sure that we preserve that economic system that allows for that. An economic system where government doesn't interfere with the entrepreneur, with the risk taker, with those who launch small businesses and who want to improve their lot in life, who see a demand in the market and seek out to meet it. And then by providing a valuable service, by providing a valuable product, they're rewarded by consumers because they make life better for everybody else by providing that product or that service. Apple, Nike, Microsoft, the small mom and pop shops, providing a service and a product that improves the lives of others, they are then rewarded thusly. And they should be able to keep as much as they earn because they've earned it. This is a nation where we have to resist this notion that somehow we have to redistribute earned wealth and punish those that earned it to reward those that did not earn it. This is a nation that must be a nation that redistributes opportunity and knowledge. Because the fastest way to go up the income scale is to provide somebody a quality education. And that's why we believe strongly in school choice and charter schools that provide alternatives to parents who are condemned to a zip code where they might be a failing school and there's nothing they can do about it. And their children are also condemned because of it. So we really believe in the redistribution of opportunity in education. And we fight for that. My parents, like I said, were what encouraged me, or what motivated me to get involved in public policy, to work and fight for those public policies in the federal government and even in the state government that allow people to flourish, not hinder them, not restrict them, not stifle their aspirations or what they're trying to achieve in their lives. Especially not be a nation where all we work for are the aspirations and the dreams of politicians. You know, they have all these sort of notions, you know, as to what they think society should be. Well, you know, I have my own notions of what, you know, what I want for my family, what I want as far as a career. And I think that's what we should be fighting for. The primacy of personal autonomy over that of central planners is a battle of ideas that we're having right now. And I think a lot of us, you know, as we look across the country today, more than any other day, I think, you know, there is a disquietedness, a concern. I think that's why the Tea Party formed. That we are taxed enough already. That we are overregulated. That government has grown too big. That there is too much power and control given to bureaucrats to control the personal decisions that we must be making in our lives. Obamacare is a perfect example of that. This is a massive federal program that is a government mandate on the people that is going to explode government bureaucracies and also is forcing price controls into the market. That, of course, is going to distort the true price of things. Healthcare is such a critical issue to be given to bureaucrats. There's no way. So, you know, we're very concerned about the negative impact of Obamacare that has, particularly in the Hispanic community, because this is a federal program that actually discriminates the Hispanic community. How? The Hispanic community is medium age, 27 years average. That's how old we are. If you took everybody's age in Hispanic America today, we'd be 27 years old. We're young. The rest of America is 10 years older than we are, on an average. Because we're younger and healthier, we have to pay higher premiums for those older folks that are coming in who have pre-existing conditions and who are older or whatever. The point is this. It was sold to Hispanic America that we were going to save $2,500 per household. Obviously, that's been proven absolutely false. But it's actually disproportionately more expensive for us because we have to pay higher premiums to sustain the older folks and the ones with pre-existing conditions coming in. So not only did we not save $2,700, in states like New Mexico, it's 142% higher if you're 27 years of age, from one year to the next. There was a Hispanic guy who asked the president straight up in an interview on Univision, I have 4 kids. I make $38,000 a year. How am I going to afford another $4,000 on top of that? You know what the president said? Yeah. You don't know how to prioritize your money. I am now mandated by government to spend $4,000 on a product I cannot afford, and you're telling me I cannot prioritize my budget? So you know, it's kind of flippant, you know, and it's almost condescending for the president to say that to somebody. But you know, even more so to someone who's going to suffer because of a government mandate, because now you're forced to do that, and you have no option. So yeah, of course now you're going to have to prioritize spending, like you said, you know, you're going to have to do without cable, you're going to have to do without, you know, telephone and all these other things. Well, obviously we're paying higher. We've lost choice of doctors. 70% of doctors in California are opting out of the program because of price controls, because of reimbursement limits that they put. They can't even meet overhead with what the program is going to pay them. So they're opting out. So we have less doctors. And this is important for the Hispanic community, because this is a community who only 5% of doctors are Hispanic. And not all of them speak Spanish. And when 33% of the Hispanic community speaks only Spanish, that is a huge impact. So quality of care suffers as well. The lines are longer because Medicaid has expanded. So quality of care has suffered. We've lost doctors. It's more expensive. It's unaffordable. This is really hurting the pockets of Hispanic America, and we're the only ones telling the story. We made a $1 million ad buy to tell the story in certain congressional districts. Here in Arizona 1 and in Arizona 2. In San Antonio 23 and in Florida 26. To tell the complete story of what Obamacare is doing to the Hispanic community. Not just the rosy-colored version of what the Obama administration wants you to hear. Folks on the left slam us because, you know, that we're out there apparently telling lies. Everything is fact-based. Everything is research. Everything that we put out. The impact is real. The pain is real. So, and the concern here is, of course, this is the crown jewel of the Obama administration's policy record. That has also had other little jewels put into the crown. Has been Frank Dodd, that indicts the entire banking system, not individual bankers for misdeeds, but all of it, hindering even the most regulated sector in America, which is the banking sector. Has not been helpful. Almost $1 trillion stimulus that took from taxpayers, the generation that is to come, we took from them to try to stimulate our economy through government spending. Think about that. As if government generates prosperity, as if government generates wealth, as if government can generate jobs, sustainable jobs. False. It's the private sector that does that. It's free Americans in a free nation that builds sustainable jobs for Americans. That's where the focus should be. Not on making government bigger. And so, yeah, we're concerned, very deeply concerned about that. And so we've taken our message and our concerns to the Hispanic community. And we're having an honest conversation about the policies that are hurting Hispanic America and the policies that could reverse the economic condition that we're on. And it's the principles of economic freedom. It's reining in government power and government control, government spending, the fiscal irresponsibility of government that has to be reined in. It's also rule of law. There'd be fairness in our system. It's also about free trade, that we're able to trade with our partners to the south and our partners to the north, and that we create job opportunities by creating the products that we know how to build better, and that we bring in the products that they know how to build better, and that creates better relationships and better job opportunities. It's about sound money. It's easing in the Federal Reserve and just a reckless printing of money that is going on, devaluing our money, and it's going to shoot up inflation very soon. So you know, these are concerns. There are no Hispanic issues. All issues are Hispanic issues. There are no Anglo issues. All issues are Anglo issues. The education of our children, the defense of this nation, the economy of this nation. We have to be concerned about those issues, and so we have to drive those issues. But here's the thing, this is one of the points that I want to get to. The conservative movement, the pro-liberty movement, the pro-constitution movement, wherever you fall into that strategy, we have failed miserably to do effective outreach and engagement with the Hispanic community. 50 million Hispanics in America that are impacting state legislative races, congressional races, Senate races, let alone the presidential race. 50 million that for decades now we have ceded to the left, but to progressives, to the liberal movement. And for decades now, while we've been absent, while we haven't engaged with the community, the left has. Non-profit organizations that are more progressive in their bent dominate the conservative community. I'll even tell you that the unions, especially in states like Nevada, are a force to be reckoned with in the Hispanic community. The media, complicit in advancing a more liberal message, a more expansive of government message, dominates the living rooms of Hispanics. The party, the Democratic Party, to their credit, has spent loads of money, of time and staff and resources, hammering them with messaging about minimum wage, about redistribution, about fairness and equality, about these issues that would grow government. And we stayed silent. Why? Because we once heard Ronald Reagan say, Hispanics are Republican, they just don't know it. We just assumed that inevitably Hispanics would come to the conservative message because they're conservative. And let me tell you something, they are conservative. I'll get into that. Ronald Reagan also said this: freedom is not passed on to the blood. Freedom is passed on from one generation to the next. And we've been negligent with the Hispanic community. And so we aim to change that. We aim to change that, the Leave It Initiative. We know through polls, the Pew Hispanic poll tells us that 33% of Hispanics self-identify as conservatives, 32% as moderates, and only 31% as liberals. If you're a Hispanic of faith, it's even higher. Evangelical is 40% identify themselves as conservative, and only 25% as liberal. Catholics, 35%. So already they're predisposed to listening to a message of reigning in government, of self-reliance, of entrepreneurship. Already they come predisposed with the notion that they know that they have to build wealth and provide for their family. In fact, Latinas start businesses at 3 times the national rate. Latina women are very entrepreneurial, like my mom is. So, but the thing is that, we have to do the hard work. And the hard work is touching lives one-on-one, having the conversations. It's allocating resources, it's allocating time, it's building a volunteer base. At the Leave It Initiative, we are now in 8 states. We're in Florida, Virginia, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and California. We're aiming to grow into 2 more states by the end of the year. Still figuring out what's going to be the 2 most strategic states for that. We're at 35 full-time staff. In fact, Brian Fallon, who is our communications director, is sitting right over there, and Ronnie Najaro is also, he's our press secretary out of Las Vegas. And then, of course, we have Steven Miramontes, Steven Miramontes right here is our field director here in Arizona, who just the other day signed on 300 volunteers to work for Leave It in one day, in one event. Just ask. If people were involved in advancing freedom, in reigning in government, you'd be surprised, the kind of willingness that you get from the Hispanic community. We have signed up over 3,000 volunteers across the country. We have, there's three things that we do at the Libre Initiative. Work with media, Spanish and English language. Remember I said 33% of Hispanics speak only Spanish. So it's important, it's critical that we communicate our message, no matter what the language is. Our principles have to be communicated. And so we're going to use Spanish language media, and we're going to use English media as well to do that. Critical, it's vital that we do that. We do campaigns where we do ad buys. Like I said, we did the accountability project against Fitzpatrick and Barbary here on Obamacare. We spent over $700,000 just in these two districts. We spent over $1.5 million across the country on just the issue of Obamacare. And we're going to do more of that. So we do these kind of media campaigns also to get our message out. We do radio interviews, television, digital, and print. We will do local and we'll do national. We're on USA Today and we're in El Diario of New York or El Heraldo de Miami or La Opinión in Los Angeles. We are publishing editorials left and right on all kinds of issues, not just the issue of immigration. So it's important that we use media. It's also important that we be part of the community. And that means that we provide services that empower, that also help to lift people. We did an event where we partnered up with H&R Block in an Orlando church. 700 people showed up. Of the 700 people that showed up for those services, 600 of them signed on with the Libre Initiative to receive our newsletter and the information that we're putting out about economic freedom. We did an event in Miami on the same thing, on healthcare, on free health checkups. 800 Hispanics showed up. 700 signed on with us. We are doing driver's license training. We're doing English classes. And finally, very soon, we're going to be launching an effort that I'm really proud of. It turns out 40% of Hispanic adults do not have a high school diploma. Think about that. We can be talking about economic freedom and the free market and quantitative easing and velocity of money all day long. But if folks cannot access the market because of their educational limits, we can be talking all day, it doesn't matter. So we want to be an agent of change. So we're going to launch a GED online course that we're already developing with an organization, Pearson, that's doing great work.